Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Up in the Clouds. My episode today is going to be a little different. I want to talk about my experience of being an empath and sort of what that is, and just kind of what now, because I don't want to give too much away. So basically, if you've never heard of what an empath is somebody who has the innate ability to feel and understand what other people or any living thing, plants, animals, is feeling and experiencing. So you have the ability to feel with them. You don't just feel for them, you're feeling with them in a way that goes beyond just being empathetic or compassionate. It's very different. Like somebody who's an empath, little examples might be like when they see someone crying, it's very hard for them not to cry. Like that's like one of my biggest things, that like signs. But so now I guess little signs that you might be an empath, major empathy. So like I said, when I'm around people who are crying, it's very hard for me not to cry. Or when I watch movies where somebody dies or there's like the person in distress, it's very, I'm there, like I'm in it, like, and that's why scary movies are really, really hard for people who are empaths, because you're putting yourself in that situation of like what the person in the scary movie is going through, and it's really, really scary. Just makes it scarier. You are easily overwhelmed, so being in crowds, being in any kind of space that has a large amount of energy, so yeah, like mainly crowds and stuff. Strong intuition, a love of nature, deep caring, problem solving, high sensitivity, dislike of conflict, and you more than likely have boundary issues. Where to begin? So I found out that I was an empath. I never heard the term, never knew. I just thought I was just always a very sensitive person and just highly like can understand and relate to people in a way that other people's couldn't. I never really knew there was a name for it or anything. I never really thought anything of it or that it was, other than just a personality trait. I found out after I went to a medium. So I saw a medium and she took the time to like get to know me and stuff. And that's when she had told me that she believes that I'm an empath. So I started doing some more research into it and really what it was and, all this. And I don't know how to say it any better than my entire life, my whole life was changed because there was finally an explanation for things that I never understood my whole life. Like why I would be so sensitive to people's emotions. So being in a room full of people who are stressed out and unhappy, angry, anything, like a room full of people in that same energy, that same vibe, okay? And I could go into that room not feeling that way, but because everyone else is feeling that way, I would literally absorb it. They call empaths like emotional sponges. That's a quote I found about empath. Like we are emotional sponges. So any sort of emotion that's going on around us in the room, we will pick up on that and we will know. And it'll bug us, or not like bug us like in a negative way, but if someone's upset or angry, we want to help them. We want to be like, what's going on? Like it's more of like a level of deep concern, deep care, deep understanding, like to be able to, something that I've always heard my whole life, and especially while being in college, was people telling me I'm easy to talk to. People being able to feel like not really know me very well, but feeling like I just make people feel comfortable enough to like tell me things, they may have not like told other people, or I've heard a lot of people say that they can talk to me about things that they can't talk about with other people. And I used to find it like very overwhelming and very a lot because I didn't know the proper ways to handle what I actually am and how to actually separate it from myself to the other people. So how to separate myself from absorbing those emotions, from letting those emotions. So say I interact with one bad person and I absorb their anger and energy. So now my entire day is in that mind state because I have to, and then basically my journey was learning how to handle that and how to deal with that. The biggest thing that helped me deal with it and learn even more was this book. It's called The Empath Experience. It's by Sydney Campos. She's a visionary coach and energy healer and intuitive strategist, and she works in New York. And this book is basically a empaths for, I don't know, those books are like, oh, for dummies. Like, this is that book, like, but in a nice way, because I don't like the word dummy because it's kind of mean, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, it's basically like a self-help book for empaths, and really taught me so much about, instead of just like the surface level things that when you Google what is, because she is an empath, so she goes into her personal experiences and how she found out what she was and how she dealt with it basically, and she wrote this book to help other people, and it's really, really incredible. So if any of this resonates with you, or maybe you watch this, you've never heard about empaths, or maybe you have and you never really thought that it might be you, but after watching this you think that, or you have emotions and you don't know how to handle them, like basically it literally says what to do when you feel everything. So if you have emotions that you feel like can't get under control, I highly, highly recommend this book. Some highlights that I got from the book that sort of helped me learn how to deal with being an empath was basically like step by step of things that as an empath I should be doing if I feel overwhelmed, attached to emotions that aren't mine, or just overwhelmed with even my own emotions from everyone else's and stuff. Meditation. So as I talked about in my anxiety episode, meditation has been huge in my life. It's been so healing and helpful, and I'm really like a big advocate for it, and that's highly recommended for empaths. So that's probably why it's so incredibly healing and amazing for me. Breathwork, that can be included with meditating, because usually before I meditate I like do some deep breaths to kind of like ground myself and let go of any negative feeling, thought, anything from the day that was not a positive experience, to like let that go with each deep breath. And I won't start meditating until I feel completely at ease and relaxed. So breath work is important. Sound healing. So something that I use with meditation, or actually lately I've been kind of just listening to it more in general, sound healing. So healing frequencies. So I, before I meditate, or while I'm meditating, I'll listen to certain hertz music, like 432, 418. I don't know, there's so many of them. I mainly just Google, or when I'm on YouTube, I will look up like healing meditation frequencies. I will look up abundance. So if like I'm trying to attract money in my life, I will, do the abundance ones. There's like let go of negative energy ones. I recently found one that's like about like the Kundalini energy, which is like Indian, stuff that is really interesting and that I've been reading a lot about. And it kind of is to like align your chakras and whatever. It's like I said, all healing music. So that's really important. And I usually have that playing while I'm meditating or manifesting. Manifesting, I kind of, but lately I've been finding myself playing it while I'm getting ready in the mornings. If I am all caught up on all my podcasts that I listen to a lot of like spiritual podcasts. So if I'm all caught up in my podcasts, I usually will be playing the positive like frequencies like in the background while I'm getting ready in the mornings, and it just kind of helps me set the day with a good mindset and good help, and like cleaning my house, or packing or whatever, playing that kind of music to not get stressed out. It really does help, and it really does make a difference. I highly recommend that and you should look up Kanye West talking about this, because a lot of music, mainstream music, underlying so there's usually layers to music, underlying frequency. A lot of music that's in our mainstream is negative. So that's why you have to be careful with what you're listening to. If like you're already in a bad headspace, a bad state of mind, and then you're listening to low frequency music, it's going to put you even lower and lower and lower. Whereas if you're at a high vibration, you're listening to high vibrational music frequencies, you are going to be in a better mindset. You know, it's just like it's like a domino effect. So just being very mindful of music. One thing I've experienced with my spiritual awakening is I don't really listen to new stream rap anymore. I will listen to like the older stuff, like, you know, that I liked back in that time, but I find it very hard now to like new mainstream rap. It's very low frequency, low vibe, very like they're just putting out stuff for money, so they don't put in the time and the work into it. Like I feel like the rappers that I do like and do take the time to still listen to even after my spiritual awakening are people that put in the work and put in the effort to make their music healing. Like Astroworld is probably one of the most healing, calming, like, because it'll go up, you know, and increase your heart rate in a good way, and then it'll go down and increase your heart rate in like a ease way. It's a very healing album, and that might be just be for me because I'm a big Travis Scott fan, but I really think that there's like underlying frequencies that makes that album just very like one long song, like a long I don't know, like a long frequency almost. So yeah, sound healing is very important as an empath. Movement or stretching / like yoga. So something that I started to do, maybe, I mean, I haven't been consistently probably 6 months. Inconsistently, I've been doing it on and off for about a year, is like stretching before bed. Lately, the past like 6 months, I've been doing it every night during the week. I will stretch before bed, and then I will do my breath work and then do my meditating. So yeah, it kind of like all is like hand in hand. But yeah, like any sort of movement, low impact cardio, it's very important, that movement, because pushing, like, okay, so say you're like doing a stretch, like, and you're stretching out that body, you're stretching out that body part, you're stretching out that part of your body that has holding on to negative energy. That's kind of like what I think of it as. So when I'm stretching and I'm doing my like calming my mind before I'm meditating, I'm just like envisioning like all the negative smoke from my muscles just leaving. That's like, you know, that's kind of like, so it's very healing. So any sort of low impact kind of like workouts, or even if you like high impact and you feel like that helps you. I'm not a big workout person. Like I like walking, going on runs, but I'm not a gym person. Being at the gym usually makes me feel really uncomfortable. I don't know why. I've never figured out why yet, but I just don't know how to feel comfortable at a gym. I'm very like, unless I'm with somebody, which that's really, as an adult, it's really kind of hard to like coordinate, you know, because my work schedule is never consistent. So maybe when I get a job that's consistent, I can get into like working out in a facility. Journaling is really good. That was something I've been doing since I was little. I think I threw most of them away, but I've probably had a journal since I could write like sentences. So even like when you can actually like formulate like 8 or 9, like formulate thoughts, I feel like only like write sentences, but be able to formulate thoughts and feelings and like actually like not just be like a kid anymore. And you're kind of like just, you know, transforming into the next stage of your life, you know. So I feel like I was like probably like started journaling at like 8 or 9. But it's very, very helpful for empaths because you're just kind of putting out all the energy, good or bad, like in somewhere. You're taking it out somewhere, like you're releasing it somewhere, you know, into the world. Paper, not, you know. Aromatherapy, super huge. I'm definitely a big smell person. I'm like the wall scents, candles burning. Good scents bring good things. So aromatherapy is very good. Finding like certain scents, certain oils in candles, like not necessarily just like Bath and Body Works candles, but like locally made candles are usually better because they're not made with as much ingredients, so there's more like focus on the oil itself, or whatever scent is more prominent, I feel like. Earthing, so this is really important for empaths. So since we absorb energies, we can, you know, it's mainly talked about how we absorb them negatively, but there's also positive ways that we can absorb energy. That's by earth grounding, which is sort of just like sitting in nature and just literally absorbing the beautifulness, the calmness, the peacefulness. That's kind of like what I usually do on walks. Like, I love just like going on a really long walk and then I'll find somewhere to sit. Usually by water. I'm definitely like more of a heal by water empath. I feel like it could be really whatever, but me personally, I've always found by bodies of water really healing for me. So yeah, earthing is very important. Absorbing positive energy is very important. So any way you can do that, that's like a healthy way. Like, definitely being on the earth itself is a very positive way to get some good healing energy, because the earth is very healing. Gratitude. So this is something I do with manifesting. So when I'm trying to manifest something, mainly I specifically just work on manifesting money. I don't really say I'm in a really, there's just something going on with like my living situation, which I will get into probably when it's like over. I just don't want to talk about it right this, now. It's just like a really toxic situation going on with my living situation. So I've been manifesting a new apartment, and then I found one. And it turns out to be a very good experience because they want all my rent up front, but I don't have to pay it for like a month and a half. So I have like a good amount of paychecks in between. And then I'm paying my rent from January to May. So now I'll be able to save all this money from January to May because I'm not paying rent because I already paid all my rent. So that's pretty huge. Thank you, universe, for that. Like, I manifested because I was having trouble. Like, I just like am not a person I could just like move home. Like, that's just not an option for me. And I don't even if it was an option, I don't even think I could do it. I just like having my own space, and like, I love my family, but sometimes it's, they're a lot. Like, it's, as an empath, you need your own space. Like, that's very important too, is like having your own space and being very like a calming space. So my mom's a very high energy, up and down person, so living with her is very hard. But going to hang out with her like for Christmas or holidays or whatever is not as bad as living in that situation 24/7. So that's why it's very important for empaths to have good roommate situations or good living situations. So obviously I've been in a negative living situation, so I've been manifesting a positive living situation, and I found one. So, and then you got to do your gratitude. So when your manifestation is coming into effect in your life, like not fully yet, but it's like you getting little signs, or like I'm in a situation, like I'm not moved in yet, but like it's there, like it's coming. Just being very grateful, gratitude, looking at everything you have in your life and being thankful for it, because it's all karmic. You're a good person. You're grateful for the things you have. Good things will come to you. You'll keep getting blessings, You're a bad person. You're not grateful. Bad things are going to continue to happen to you. And sometimes good things keep happening to bad people, but then always karma will come eventually. That's like the biggest thing. Like, it's being a good person is huge. And especially when it comes to being, if you want to be truly blessed and keep those blessings, and those blessings don't get taken away from you, is being in that good high vibration. You're doing good things. You're being grateful for everything you have, like even small. Like, one thing that I learned from this podcast that I've been listening to on Apple Music, it's like laws on manifesting success stories. I'll link it in the description. And it talks about being grateful and stuff, like what we were discussing, but it's down to like there was like one episode where this lady would take note of even finding pennies or nickels, and you'd be surprised at how many pennies and nickels that you notice that you find when you start noticing them and being grateful for them. So I find a penny, I'd be like, oh, thank you, universe, like thank you for this penny. Or I find a nickel and I'm like, oh, thank you. Or say I get too drunk and leave my car parked outside, and it's like I don't get a ticket, it's like, oh, thank you. Or just something like, oh, like one time at work, I remember this specifically because I was like, it was like instantly. Like normally sometimes my manifestations will take a while because I have to get to that vibration that to be receiving. So, which I will explain more later about that. But I remember we were having a really rough day at work. Somebody had called in and we were working our butts off, you know, to keep up with the flow, being down a person. And I just remember thinking like, oh, all I want is some like greasy food. Like I don't want my healthy lunch. Like I just want something, but I didn't really have a lot of money at the time. Because we were like, I think it was like it was like the week, right? It was like so I get paid every 2 weeks. So I think it was like the second week of my paychecks, you know? And I just remember being like, ugh, but I don't have money. So it's fine. Like whatever. I'll eat my lunch. And since we had such a stressful day, my store manager literally bought all of us Domino's. Like it was like instantly manifested. And I was like, whoa. And I didn't realize that I even did that until like weeks later when I was like actually thinking about like how frequently or how quickly I can get, you know, things to manifest. And as I build my vibration, and just like kind of thinking about like, oh, things are coming in more and more and more because I'm vibrating higher, you know? And yeah, so little things like that. So back to the main point, gratitude, just being grateful for everything, even if you just find a penny. I think my biggest struggle as an empath is work. I work in a pharmacy, specifically retail pharmacy. So that in itself is a very draining job, let alone when you're dealing with all these energies. So there's sick energy, positive, like, you know, there, like we have definitely happy people who come and they're happy and they're nice and they're sweet every time they come. But for every one good person, there's probably 4 to 5 negatively energy people. So if that kind of gives you an idea of how hard it is, and it's very draining and very mentally draining, and I have to work really hard on the days that I work to brush that energy and leave it at the door, basically, because otherwise it'll, like, it was to the point where I was like so unhappy and so vibrating so low, and I was just like, what do I do? I started getting into meditating and learning about like the law of attraction and manifesting and stuff, and basically like how to get yourself at a higher vibration. So, and then I started rereading this book. I read this book probably like halfway through, and then I stopped reading it because I was in school when I bought this, and being English, like any, like was an English major, psychology minor, and being an English major, it is a lot of reading. So it was very hard for me to find the want to do it when it wasn't like school related. So I really stopped reading for like at least 5, well, yeah, I was in school for 5 years. So 5 years, like for fun, like, and I would try in the summer and it would just not be even enjoyable. So that's something that I've been working on now that I'm graduated, is getting back into reading, because I truly do love reading. I love reading books so much and getting lost in a story. And I've been doing like, and these self-help books are really nice because you're getting lost in the story, but it's like your story, you know, because it's bringing up things from your own life and it's not just someone else's story. So it's really cool. So yeah, being with my job is very hard as an empath. If you can find a job that doesn't, you know, you can keep away from like healthcare or any sort of like customer service, and if you can, you know, find a job that's not that, like, and like survive, do it. If I could be like a life coach or like a counselor without having to go to grad school, because that's another thing. Being in school lowered my vibration a lot. Like I feel like I literally am a completely different person than the person I am when I'm in school, because I would just be so drained all the time and putting all this energy into something that I was like I had a passion for it. I loved being a writer. Like I love psychology, but I just like the testing, the exams, like the quizzes or like things like that. Like just, you know, think a lot of why I'm so mentally good is not being in school. I think in school contribute to a lot of negative energy for me, and why contribute to why I was vibrating so low, even just 6 months ago. So yeah, and so the whole plan after graduating was to go to graduate school for counseling. And now that I haven't been in school and it's been literally so amazing and I'm in such a good place, like I have no desire to go to grad school, like absolutely none anymore. And I'm like, for what I want to do, I have to. And so I'm like, and this like stuck, I'm in this standstill where I'm like, do I suffer through another 2 years of being really unhappy and just like make myself, but then I worry that I'm going to do that and then I won't even want to do that anymore. Like I won't even want to be a counselor because I was so miserable going to school for it, Like that's what I worry. So I really wish they would revamp our education system and just make like gen eds, like less gen eds and more focused, and make grad school like just no undergrad or graduate. Like I get like doctors and pharmacists like needing to, but like everyone, counselors, like I just think if it was more focused in the beginnings, like you do like only a year of gen eds instead of what it's like average 2, sometimes 3 depending on your university of gen eds that you have on top of your major and minor classes. Like it's insane. Like what do I need to be taking math and science for when, I mean, well-rounded, but I just think our education system is just set up very poorly, and I wish that they would like revamp it or something, because as someone who is so mentally drained and mentally like school puts me so low, why would I want to go back after graduating, Like so that's something that I'm trying to figure out, like how to do something in my field that I love doing without having to go to grad school but still making enough money to survive. I hate it. I hate that money is the center of everything, and that if you want to have a good life, you have, or not like if you want to have a good life, but if you want to do the things that you want to do and be happy, I feel like the term money doesn't buy happiness is somebody who had money said that, because as somebody who, obviously I have a roof over my head, I have a car, nice phone. As somebody who pays for like everything, money runs my entire life. And it's so stupid. I hate it. I wish that I could just not have to have money, but that's just the society, that's just the country, it's just who we are as human beings, not just a country. It's worldwide. Like everything revolves around money. And it's just really, really sad because it discourages people, from doing the things that they love because they want to make a lot of money. So then these people go to be doctors and pharmacists, and they're not comparing, they're not compassionate. They just were in it for the money, and then, or they were smart enough to do it, so they did it. And then now this is why we have a opioid crisis, because we have these doctors that don't really care about their patients, and they're just over prescribing, they're overdoing it, and all these people are just vibrating so low because they are completely messed up off pills. You would be so surprised if I told you how many people at the pharmacy literally don't even know what they're taking. They just are like, oh, it's whatever for this or whatever for that. Like they don't even know the names of their drugs that they're putting in their bodies. It's absolutely insane to me. You would not be catching me putting anything in my body that I didn't know what I was putting in my body. And that's why these people that come to, and they're sick or they have low vibrations because they're, being messed with from drugs. And it's just really like, yeah. So it's very hard to kind of separate and stuff. So that's been a big focus, is learning how to let go at work in the parking lot. So as I'm walking out, I'm envisioning all the negative ish like leaving my body as I'm walking out, and I'm like, I'm not going to let this day. And I've been finding that I don't let things impact me as much either. So I used to if a customer was mean to me, I would cry like every single time. And I've definitely gotten a long way from that person. So thank God. But I just find being more grounded in myself and being at a higher vibration, I just have, and learning how to block. That's like a big thing for empaths, is blocking that even allowance of transfers of energy. Just being like, you're not going to ruin my day because you're having a bad day and you're trying to ruin my day and take it out on me when I didn't do anything. So it's just like blocking, like setting up literally like shields, like we have at work, straight up shields. That could also be in my head, but I swear to God, since we've set up those like plastic shields between us and the customers, it's helped a lot. That might be crazy, but in my head, it works. Then it works, you know? If I believe it, then it's going to work, you know? So yeah, definitely separating yourself. Dislike of conflict. So empaths, obviously conflict is a negative thing, fighting, you know, anything. I think it has a lot to do with like my parents fighting. When I was growing up, I just don't really like fighting. I don't really like conflict, and learning how to, instead of getting involved in it, like I definitely went through a period of time where I was very aggressive when I would drink, and I would get involved in conflicts that weren't my business to be getting involved with, just because I wanted to stick it to the man and stick up for people who needed to be stuck up for, and just sort of learning how to put up boundaries and like stay away from conflict altogether, and then even being involved at all. So yeah, that's kind of all goes back to a lot of empaths have boundary issues. So a lot of empaths find themselves in toxic relationships, toxic friendships. They could be taken advantage of even by family members because they have such bad boundary issues. So yeah, there's so many things in learning. And one of this biggest thing that this book talks about is when you hang out with somebody and then you get home and you feel just not good, and you don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so happy I was with that person, I already miss them. But instead you're like, oh, thank God I'm not with that person anymore. That's a huge red flag, and you need to pay attention to that. You need to pay attention to your body and your feelings when you're with certain people, because you have to put up boundaries with people who vibrate lower than you, because then if you're hanging out with low vibrational people, what's going to happen to your energy? You're going to be at a low vibe, especially for somebody who absorbs. So not only just even for people in general, but somebody like an empath who absorbs emotions, it's even worse than just just a regular person, because if you don't even know that you're an empath, you're absorbing energies and you have no idea how to control it, what it even means, that these aren't even your feelings, your own emotions or feelings, it's very hard. And learning, I find myself, I know a lot of people, but I find myself not being close with a lot of people. I definitely have like my inner circle, and I'm okay with that. I would rather, if anything that I've learned on the spiritual awakening, the spiritual journey, is the less people that are in your inner close circle, usually the better it is, because there's no chance for people decepting you. There's no chance of people hurting you, because if you're only letting so many people into your close inner circle, you obviously trust them enough to bring them into that circle, so you would trust that they're not going to hurt you or deceive you or lie to you or whatever. Obviously we get clouded by judgment, because I don't know if this is necessarily an empathic trait or just a trait of being like one of my zodiac signs, like either being a Taurus or maybe it's some other sign of mine. But I don't anymore. I'm very good at it now, but when I was younger, I used to have a really bad sense of judgment, in a way where I just saw the good in everyone, even when they were bad, which can be a good thing, but can also be a very negative thing and can lead to you getting taken advantage of. And I definitely had been taken advantage of many times in my life by people. And so we just, you're such a caring and you're so empathetic and you have this like deep care for people in your soul that other people don't necessarily understand, but they're drawn to you because when you're vibrating high and you're at a good state of mind, you're at a good, people are going to be naturally drawn to good energy, you know? So if you have good energy, you're radiating positive, good energy, people are going to be drawn to that. And which also means bad people are going to be drawn to that. So the biggest thing, empaths have a lot of issues with narcissists because narcissists are very good at concealing who they truly are until the empath or anybody in general. I just feel like it's more intense with empaths until they're connected, they're hooked on you, they're in love with you. And then that's when their true narcissist colors will usually come out, is after the person is already so hooked that they're gonna see them as what they showed them for so long. Even if it's just 3 months, like you can fall in love with somebody like quicker than you think. And, you know, they get their claws in you, and then, you know, then their true colors start to come out. You're going to make excuses for that behavior because you've seen their good side and you know that there's a good side, and then you're just like always constantly trying to bring out that good side in somebody, which is draining and toxic, and stay away from that. If anyone shows you any sort of narcissistic traits or behaviors, run, because they like the deeper that you're in it, the harder it is to get out of it, and it's just abuse. It truly is abuse. You have to be careful, especially as an empath, to recognize and learn about narcissistic behavior, because narcissistic vampires is what this article that I read calls them, are very, very, very attracted to empaths. So just learning to protect your energy, and that's where this podcast is basically all about this book, but I really, truly highly recommend it. Something else is very transfer of energies is sex. I was listening to this other podcast. It's called That Bitch Is Positive. I will also tag it. Girls like thing is vibing with Cece. And she talks about how sexual energies, when you have sex with somebody, you're absorbing their energy whether you're an empath or not. So say you are an empath, you're absorbing completely that energy from that other person. Not only are you absorbing it from that person, but you're also absorbing it from every other person that person has absorbed energies from. So every person that has slept with that person that you slept with, you are getting all that energy. You are getting all their vibes and shit. So say homeboy sleeps with a ton of girls who are insecure. Maybe they don't come off insecure, but deep down insecure. Like, that's what I mean, like true personal energy. They could come off like they're not insecure, but they are deep down. And he sleeps with 5 girls that are extremely insecure. And then you sleep with him, and he's absorbing those energies as well. So maybe he is struggling because of being exchanging energy with that person who was in that low vibe. So now he's absorbed that low vibe without even consciously being aware to it, because unless you're consciously aware, you have no idea. And so now you sleep with homeboy and you get all of his energy that was festered up from all these other 5 girls that he slept with. So now you have this energy of 6, 7, how many ever people they sleep with, energy inside of you that you have to be like cleanse. I went through such a, I am not really somebody who sleeps around, and I think I learned that like really young, accidentally, because I always would feel so shameful after sex, and I would feel very gross and very and I always thought it was maybe like my Christian upbringing and all the shame that we sort of grow up viewing sex as very shameful unless you're married. So I always thought it was that, until I started learning about empaths and being very protective of their energy. And one of the things is not sleeping around with people that, random people, or like just sleeping around in general, because you're absorbing all of those emotions of every person that person has slept with along with theirs, which theirs is a contemplation of all those other emotions plus their own. So you're going to absorb that. And so, if they're sleeping with low vibrational girls, you're going to get all those low vibes. And it's crazy. And reading about it and hearing about it being talked in a podcast, I was floored. I was straight up like, wow, that made so much sense why I never really felt that desire to be that way or sleep around, and why I would get such a shameful, negative feeling after having sex. The point where there's maybe only been like one person that I wasn't like, after like being with them and hooking up with them, was, I don't like, the word that I have in my head is too harsh, so I don't want to say that, but feeling like, oh, I'm not into this. Or maybe it wasn't right away, like maybe, like a couple times, then you were like, wait, like, my body, my energy is literally rejecting your energy, because I feel really dirty, really nasty after being with you, very very like regretful. Like I said, there's maybe only been like one or two people that I've been with, one specifically, that I haven't felt that way, and it's been life-changing, and it's been like, oh my God, thank God, finally, like this is what it's supposed to be like, But yeah, so just as an empath, being very protective of your energy, and not only your own energy, but your sexual energy too, is very important. If you listen to any of this and you feel like you resonate with it, you want to learn more about it, as I always say, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I will read it eventually. I might not respond quickly. I might respond and then not respond for 3 days. That's just me, and I'm sorry I'm like that. I do apologize. I can responding is energy. So, sometimes it's, even if it's good, positive energy that, I'm being like, just responding in general just takes a lot of energy out of me. So I will be responding quickly, and then I just stop responding to people for a couple hours because I need to I don't know, it's really annoying. And I'm really sorry about that I am the way that I am. But if, you're listening to any of this and maybe you're experiencing things you don't understand, or, you've listened to this and you're like, wow, maybe I'm an empath and I want to know more, or, whatever, either buy this book, The Empath Experience, or reach out to me. I would love to help you through it. I am still in the beginner phase, but I feel like that's the best time to help other people, is because helping other people also helps yourself in a weird way. I love to help. I love to be there for people and help people. So yeah, please reach out to me. Do not hesitate. If you like this episode, please give a thumbs up, or leave a comment. Or if you're listening on the podcast, please rate this 5 stars. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Subscribe to the podcast. Yeah, so please reach out to me if you have anything that you're going through and you think that I can help you with it. I guess if you or learn how to meditate, even if it's something not even related to being an empath. Maybe you want to learn more about meditating or something else that I talked about. Leave a comment too. If there's something that I talk about but I don't go into detail and you would like me to talk about more, I would love to get some ideas too. I have a few more episodes written out, but after that I'm gonna have to manifest some more ideas. So if there's anything that I only touched a little bit on and you want more, leave that in the comments and let me know. I would love to hear what you want to hear too. Yeah, so thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this. It means so much to me. And I hope you have a beautiful week. I'm recording this before Thanksgiving, and it probably won't be out until after Thanksgiving. So I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving despite everything that's going on. I hope you made the best of it that you could, even if it was just a self-care day. Yeah, so thank you for taking the time to listen to this. I love you all, my angels. I hope you have a beautiful week. Love you guys. Bye.